let's try to guess how these 2026 rookie drafts are going to go. We've picked a mock draft with landing spots from Fansided. It is a 3-round mock draft. It is the only one we could find after the combine. We did not pick the landing spots. We didn't do the mock draft. We took all these players from the mock draft. We put them in a big pool. Nathan and I are going to be drafting from them. We added a couple running backs that are going to be we think are going to go in rounds 4 through 6, and we're going to draft from this big pool of players, talk about their landing spots, the implications, and talk about the values of the picks. If you enjoy this exercise, please do us the huge favor of dropping a like. Make sure you're subscribed if you play Dynasty Fantasy Football. And I'm going to go first. I'm going to take Jeremiah Love. Not even thinking about it. I don't even care where he goes. This is one where I'm not going to speculate on landing spot. I'm not going to speculate on, this team could take him. This team, it would fit really well here. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He's going to go somewhere, and he's going to be elite. Yep. So this is the best 101 since Bijan Robinson, in my opinion, since 2023. And he and Bijan are probably the best 101s since Saquon, maybe. So I think that should tell you what I think about Jeremiah Love. He goes in this mock to the Arizona Cardinals. I love the Cardinals fit for him. I love any fit for him for the most part, but we obviously don't know who the quarterback's going to be there in Arizona. I think in terms of just fitting in right away, I think he's going to fit in almost anywhere. And so the Cardinals, they take him here. There's no other back there that's going to probably compete for touches. Like Trey Benson, not touching Jeremiah Love. James Conner, obviously was injured last year, not touching Jeremiah Love. I like this for him. I like it for the Cardinals. I'll take him at the 101.
I'm not going to do anything super cute here. Carnell Tate goes to the Saints, 108. He's the only top 10 wide receiver in this mock draft.
It's very possible, by the way.
It is very possible. Again, you'll see the landing spots for these other receivers. None of them are pretty in the first round, except for one who goes in the late first. But Carnell Tate, earliest drafted wide receiver in the NFL draft if this scenario plays out. And being paired with Chris Olave, I think would be totally fine. I think that Shuck actually provides quite a bit of passing volume where both of those guys could be productive. And again, you have to respect the draft capital. Who knows? Maybe if they do this, they end up not signing Olave to some Uber extension or something like that. We just don't really know here, but got to respect the draft capital, got to respect the landing spot, which I think a lot of people will try to potentially underplay when in reality it's actually pretty decent for fantasy production.
I will take Jordan Tyson. I'm going to take Jordan Tyson.
Yeah.
I don't mind the landing spot here for Lemon necessarily, but at the point where Tyson goes higher and goes to the Ravens and he's paired with Lamar Jackson, which I think he'd absolutely crush in that situation. I think he would eat in that situation. So I like Jordan Tyson to the Ravens. Obviously playing alongside Zay Flowers, I think they'd complement each other pretty well, to be honest. I think that he would go there. He would get as much target volume as he wants in that offense. Obviously a brand new coaching staff, brand new scheme there. And then, of course, you've got an MVP level quarterback in Lamar Jackson throwing him the ball. A lot better than the uncertainty about Lemon's situation. So I would probably be deciding between one of these two guys. I'll take Tyson because I like the landing spot in the quarterback situation a little bit better for him if he does go to the Baltimore Ravens here. So he's my 103 in this draft.
The talent pick, the analytical pick here is going to be Mekhi Lemon at the 121 to Pittsburgh. Again, a lot of people will be grossed out by Mekhi Lemon going to Pittsburgh and forget that this is going to be far from a Mike Tomlin-led organization or a Mike Tomlin-led team, where Arthur Smith is calling plays or Matt Canada is. This is a Mike McCarthy-led offense, and you've seen what McCarthy offenses have done historically, granted with Rodgers and Dak Prescott, but whoever ends up being the quarterback here, I think they're going to want to throw the ball quite a bit more than they have for the last really decade, and that would start with Mekhi Lemon as their first-round selection here.
All right. This is where it gets tricky, but I'm not going to let Nathan have the opportunity to do this. So I'm going to take Omar Cooper Jr. here at the 105. I knew you were going to try to take him from me, freaking idiot. I'm not doing it, dude. You could take Sadiq, you could take Mendoza here, but I mean, this is one of the rare scenarios, I think, and I think maybe you'll agree. If you disagree, you should tell us why. But I think if Omar Cooper Jr. were to go in the late first to the San Francisco 49ers, I think his landing spot is so good that it would elevate him to the 105.
He's got the downfield ability of Ayuk with the athleticism and toughness of Deebo Samuel.
So, I think
that's a real nice landing spot.
It's honestly maybe the best landing spot for Omar Cooper Jr. I think that is the number one landing spot for him. So this is probably the only case where I would take Omar Cooper Jr. over Fernando Mendoza. Both IU guys, I love them both, obviously. But again, I think that the market would be so high on Omar Cooper if he were to go to the 49ers in the late first. He gets first-round draft capital, his analytical profile is good. And again, in a Superflex league, I think Sadiq and Mendoza are great picks. They're going to be the next two picks here. But at the same time, I think this is the landing spot that would elevate him to the 105. It's probably the only one, so keep that in mind. I don't have him ranked over Mendoza or Sadiq. We have him, if we can put a screenshot of our rankings, we have Mendoza and Sadiq a tier above him. However, if he were to go to this landing spot, 49ers in the late first, we would have Cooper and Mendoza in this hypothetical scenario and Sadiq all in the same tier. And so at that point, we would just take our favorite of the three. They'd be in the same tier in our rankings in this scenario. I would take Omar Cooper Jr. He'd fit so well with that Shanahan offense. It's not even funny.
I can't leave this mock without taking an Indiana guy, so I'll take Fernando. First overall to the Raiders. Everyone knows he's going to the Raiders. Nothing new here. No new news. I think I think he actually has decent production upside for a NFL level quarterback. I think he can do it there with Bowers and with Ashton Genty helping him out in the run game. But this should, again, if this is how the cards are played and Omar Cooper is going above Fernando, you kind of have to take Fernando at the 106, 107 range, because I know Avery's going to take Sadiq here as well, who I also could have taken. But kind of the same situation as Cam Ward last year. It's like, yeah, he's a first overall pick. You can't really let him fall any further than the mid first. So
yeah, and obviously the Raiders situation. Well, again, we talked about this. Clint Kubiak, like we like that situation for any quarterback that goes there. If it doesn't end up being Fernando for some reason, we will like it for whoever the quarterback is there. It's a good situation for him. I think with Mendoza in this hypothetical scenario, how we would rank these guys, I think you actually could take Mendoza as high as the 103 here, and I wouldn't necessarily gripe about it. I'm not 100% convinced that Tyson and Lemon would separate themselves from the pack enough to where you wouldn't see Mendoza in super flex leagues going as high as the 103 here. And so it might end up being this is a big tier if this, again, hypothetical scenario were to play out. So if you're in a super flex league and you need a quarterback, I'm totally okay taking Fernando Mendoza a little bit higher than the 106 like you could in this mock, but he goes 106 here because I like Omar Cooper Jr. to the 49ers that much. And I'll take Kenyon Sadiq. I think it's obvious. I don't think Sadiq leaves the top 7 picks of this year's Dynasty rookie draft, and he shouldn't either. I mean, when you're looking at his updated bakery score, we talked about this, but he is now in that elite tier, which puts him as a top 10 overall tight end prospect in the bakery ever. It puts him at number 7. And so, again, you look at the tier of guys he's in: Ingram, Njoku, Fant, Warren, Laporta, Loveland, and McBride. That is great company. No Fant, obviously, or Font, or whatever. I don't know. He's obviously the only guy here that didn't hit. And that is evidenced by the fact that nobody knows how to say his name correctly.
And he carried a lot of value for a couple of years still.
He did. Yeah, I mean, like middling dynasty value, that he was there for sure.
He was a top 4 tight end after he was the tight end in his second year. So.
That's crazy to me. But he was obviously an Iowa tight end. He's one of the few Iowa tight ends that doesn't hit at that point. With Sadiq, with the testing at the combine that you saw, the speed, it cemented him in the first round, maybe the top 15 of the NFL draft. Tight ends are such safe picks in dynasty rookie drafts. Like they are maybe the safest position to select in almost every single rookie draft every year. So Sadiq with the upside, somebody's going to take him. Somebody's going to love him. He goes to play with Bryce Young in Carolina. He's going to complement Tet McMillan, obviously. And I do like the fit for him there. Obviously hoping Dave Canales can kind of work his magic with Kenyon Sadiq. I will say there's not really a rich history of tight end production in that scheme, and not necessarily with the 49 or with the Panthers as well. So I would hope that this would be an offense that would allow Sadiq and Tet McMillan to both be productive, because we want to see a step up from Tet McMillan next year. But in terms of how Sadiq fits into that offense, I think he would fit alongside Tet McMillan very well, since Kenyon Sadiq is essentially just a wide receiver, and Tet McMillan and him, their strengths kind of complement each other when you're considering them both in that way. And so a decent landing spot for him, and obviously the draft capital is good. 107 would be fantastic for Sadiq here.
I am going to deviate a little bit here. I'll go ahead and take Concepcion going 203 to the Titans. He would effectively be the wide receiver 1 there, and what is a Brian Dable-led offense, which I think is pretty nice for him. I think it's pretty nice for Cam Ward. I think they'll be a pretty solid pairing there. There's actually still a first-round wide receiver that has yet to go off the board. It's Boston, spoiler alert. And the reason I'm going with Concepcion here is even with second-round draft capital, analytically, he has a better bakery score than Boston does. And again, at that point, I'll just take the landing spot that I prefer, which is Brian Dable, Cam Ward, Tennessee, over Cleveland for Boston. Really the difference between the 124 versus the 203 in the NFL draft. I don't know if you guys have heard, plenty of different NFL head coaches, GMs have talked about what players in every single class have a true first round grade, and generally it's only about 15 to no more than 20. Those are in really, really stacked classes. And generally once you get beyond that point, the last third of the first round, those guys could easily go in the second, while the early second guys could easily go in the first. Those tiers start to expand, right? So really the difference between Boston going at the 124 versus Concepcion in the early second is just not that much of a difference to me when the analytics are right there by each other.
Yeah. Okay. So I think there I have to take Denzel Boston here. At the 108. 109. He just, I mean, going in the first round, look, I know that we have him a little bit lower in our rankings, and I know that his analytical profile is still not great. However, at the point where he's going here in the first, and he's the last first-round wide receiver off the board, it's a no-brainer pick here at the 108.
You don't want to sleep on Boston at that price.
And the other thing is, I mean, the landing spot is not great with the Browns. Like, I mean, who's going to be throwing him the ball this year? It could be Shedeur Sanders. You saw Todd Monken he posted on Twitter a picture of him and Shedeur. I'm like, you really are hitching your wagon to Shedeur Sanders when you get your head coaching opportunity. Yep. That is bold. It's bold, ladies and gentlemen. And I think with Boston, again, the profile is there. A lot of people like his profile. I think there's a good chance he goes in the late first still. And when he does, I mean, I think he should be a top 9 pick in Dynasty drafts. And so with Boston, obviously bigger skill set there. Not a ton of target competition outside of Harold Fannin. He would complement Fannin well. I think they probably would need to bring in another receiver. Obviously they've got a kind of a band of misfits there in terms of the receivers they have now, but he would fit well there. They would need somebody, slot guy, to probably complement him for that fit to be really good in my opinion. But Fannin, again, as a tight end, is working a lot as a wide receiver in that aspect, and so that would help the fit as well. So Boston, I'll comfortably take him here at the 109 and be happy about it. So
this is where we start taking our day 2 running backs, our later day 2 running backs. In this mock, you got no running backs going in the second round, which I think is very much a realistic possibility in this year's class. The first one off the board at the very beginning of the third is Jadarian Price to the Houston Texans. I know Houston just went out and traded for David Montgomery.
Yep.
What they paid for David Montgomery does not imply that they're not going to go out of their way to go draft someone or maybe even get another guy to pair with Montgomery. Montgomery's 28 years old. He's got injury history. He usually misses time every single year, a little bit of time. He hasn't taken on a bell cow workload for what, 2 or 3, a few seasons?
3 seasons now.
Yeah, it's been like 3 seasons. So Jadarian Price being paired with Montgomery his first year as a rookie, at least, like I think that actually is not too bad. I think he still would have plenty of opportunity to take over that job and end up being the ultimate like number 1 option there. While it might not be the case day 1, and that's probably why Price will end up going in the late first if he gets this landing spot in the early third. I still would be very confident taking him here because he'll still get he still has a good bakery grade in that upside light tier, I think. Mm-hmm. And the upside tier. Houston, really for any running back, I think is going to be a pretty solid landing spot.
All right, 111. I'll take my last first-round prospect off the board here with Eli Stowers, who in this mock goes to the Denver Broncos at the 130. Look, I personally don't think that he goes this high in the NFL draft, but if he were to, like, he would be a great pick in dynasty drafts. Honestly, if you have like an early, like the 108, 109, you should be praying he goes in the first, because that would honestly make your pick not near as bad. Like there
are tons of 1 to 2 round mocks that came out after the combine that have Stowers going in the first now.
And I think, truthfully, I think a lot of that is athletic testing hype. And how much do we want to actually elevate a player for their athletic testing? I don't know, because on Stowers' tape, I don't feel like you see like that level of athleticism. Like
I think you do.
He's good, but I
love Stowers.
I don't think anybody was expecting that at the combine. So like you can't tell
I
me
was.
I was. You were expecting what he did. You were expecting him to jump 45 inches.
I was expecting him to test really well. Yeah.
There's no way you were expecting that level of athleticism. I think you're straight up lying. He's not that athletic on his film. He looks good.
I've been talking about Stowers since like December.
I know, but not his athleticism. Like I think again, his tape is good, but again, I think people like that are lying.
I didn't go into the combine saying he's going to be the number 1 vertical jumper at the tight end position.
Exactly.
I did say he'll test pretty well, but
test pretty well is not. He's going to literally test in the 100th percentile of tight ends. Nobody saw that coming. Is my point. So, and if they try to tell you. You can tell him, no, you didn't see that coming. I think that Stowers, though...
I like Stowers a lot.
And here's the thing. We had Stowers ranked very high on our first rookie rankings, too. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying you weren't talking about Stowers, but you definitely didn't think he was going to do that. Nobody thought he was doing that. Like, breaking records, come on. Like, I literally did not see that coming at all. I knew he'd be good, but, man, he was awesome. And this has kind of been the result of that, right? And so... Broncos, decent landing spot. The fact matters, I don't trust Sean Payton for anything at this point. Like, I literally don't trust him for fantasy at all. Yeah. I don't trust him. I think they could draft him and just straight up not use him. I think they could draft him and start somebody else over him in the first round. Like, you might say that's crazy. I just don't trust him. I don't. They're looking for their joker. We hear this every freaking year. And we kind of fell for it last year. We fell for it twice.
So what does this mean for Albert O?
Right. I mean, that's the kind of guy I would expect Sean Payton to start over Eli Stowers in his rookie year. Just letting you know. At the same time, it's a first-round tight end pick. It's pretty insulated in Dynasty, so you have to, I think, take it here. I'll take him at the 111.
Okay, this gets difficult.
What, you mean the late first sucks?
Yeah, let me go with there are two running backs that go here in the third round to interesting landing spots. Katron Allen will end up being the number one guy in Minnesota if he goes here in the third. There's nobody else in that running back room. Coleman also goes in the third to Denver. He's going to be splitting time with RJ Harvey most likely if that's the case. So I'll give the upper hand to Katron, even though his bakery score will be right there again in the yellow tier with Jonah Coleman and Jadarian Price. He'll be the lowest graded one in that tier of those three. But with the landing spot, the better draft capital, being drafted over someone like Jonah Coleman, who goes later in the third, I think you got to give him his respect here. He's an older prospect, right? He's 23 years old. I really think going to Minnesota would be really an ideal landing spot for any running back if they were to go day two to a team that needs running back help. Aaron Jones is expected to be waived heading into the start of free agency next week. So that's another big thing, I think, for anyone who's looking to potentially get an opportunity there, whether Minnesota, again, goes out into free agency and signs somebody else or they draft someone like a Katron in the third. I'm cool with that landing spot.
And again, we don't have Katron ranked this high in our rankings. These are not our rankings. This is a hypothetical scenario. If you want to see our rankings, the video, we'll link it here. Make sure that you go check those out if you want to see how we have these players ranked, not how they go in this draft. But
now, Katron would move up our rankings quite a bit because
it's draft capital landing spot dependent. So in that hypothetical scenario, yes. But a lot of people just look at these and like, oh, they have Katron Allen in the first. Now, at the moment, we don't, but we could if this happens. So if you'd like to take a look at the bakery, the full bakery database, and also the rookie vault, we have both of those posted for you over on the Flock site. You can check out the link in the pinned comment to access those. You can also get a team blueprint for free when you become a member with Code Domain. We can look at your Dynasty team and check it out for you. Let's go to the second round here now. I'm just going to tell you right now, like, hopefully my strategy is extremely obvious in this draft because I took Stowers, the tight end, at the 111 over the running backs. And now I'm going to take Ty Simpson over other day two running backs.
Yeah.
Why? Nice. Because I think that Ty Simpson is the safest pick here. And when I am drafting, if I have to draft in the late first or early second this year, I am literally going for safety.
That is not saying a lot, by the way. Ty Simpson being the safest of the selections here is not a good sign.
No, it's not. But I think in this case, I wouldn't fault people for taking Ty Simpson in the first round of this draft because he goes at the first pick of the second round to the New York Jets. Look, Ty Simpson's bad. Is he Justin Fields bad? He might be, actually. Yeah, so I don't know. But I think here's the thing with Justin Fields. And this is the case with any quarterback situation. What would happen there in New York is even if they didn't start Ty Simpson right away, they'd start Justin Fields. And the thing about starting Justin Fields is you just don't do it the whole season. Like eventually they'd be like, I've seen enough. We have to try Ty Simpson. And Ty Simpson will become the starter at some point in the middle of his rookie year. You could be looking at a potential Tyler Shuck situation. Not that he's near as good as Tyler Shuck, not that he would look as good as Tyler Shuck, but that is what the reason Tyler Shuck was such a good pick in last year's rookie drafts was because you knew at some point he was going to get a starting chance there. And when they do, Tyler Shuck is case in point, they could go up in value a lot. They're not always going to do that, but they have a good chance. Anytime you have a rookie coming in and starting games at quarterback, if they look good, it only takes a couple games of them looking good for their value to skyrocket.
See Tyler Shuck.
See the first game or two after Shedeur Sanders started playing. Yep. He actually had a blip there where he was more valuable in Dynasty. It's very easy, and that's why I'm taking the value shot here at the 201 with Ty Simpson going to the Jets. In terms of fit, look, I don't really care. He's got Garrett Wilson, and I don't think that he would be the long-term starter there. I don't believe in Ty Simpson as a quarterback prospect, but I mean, Dynasty players have proven year over year, time after time, that we are literally terrible at evaluating quarterback prospects. So what do I know? Maybe I'm wrong about that. I think he's the safest pick here. I'll take him with the 2-1.
Get ready for it, guys. Almost any day two running back that goes in the NFL draft, we are going to be selecting in our Dynasty drafts over almost every single day two wide receiver. And that's going to continue here with Jonah Coleman to the Denver Broncos. Again, I mentioned earlier, obviously he'd be splitting time in theory with RJ Harvey. I actually do think Harvey and Coleman's skill sets are very complementary.
They are.
And I do think it kind of matches what Peyton has done historically with his running back rooms, and that is kind of a 1A, 1B type of situation where you take, say a Jonah Coleman out on third down passing sets, and then maybe on short yard goal line situations, Coleman is actually in there instead of Harvey, because Harvey's not really a guy that's going to like abuse you between the tackles or anything like that. Coleman's really a bowling ball. I mean, you saw what his measurables were at the combine. He's 5'8", like 220. So he's a big dude, and he's really stout. So he's got some quickness there as well. Decent pass pro film. Look, nothing pretty going in the late third rounds. I mean, you just saw a guy like Caleb Johnson go in the mid to late third round last year, and you saw how that worked out, and he was in a much better analytical tier. Sean Payton could easily ruin this selection. He easily could. I will take the shot almost every single time for a running back to hit over a wide receiver in day 2. I just will.
All right, I'm going to do the same thing that I'm going to take Mike Washington, who goes to the Seahawks at the end of the third round. Not great draft capital here. I mean, third round draft capital is fine, but the landing spot, I mean, they're letting Kenneth Walker hit the open market as a free agent, and Zach Charbonnet is not going to be back at the beginning of the year. I would expect if this happened that Mike Washington would be the starting running back in Seattle at the beginning of the year. And because of that, I think you could take him in this mock draft as high as the 111, 112 here. I think that market play alone would be very enticing to us in the sense that even if Mike Washington didn't look good at the beginning of the year, we could get out on him for a decent price, more than we're probably getting him for like 2 early second round prices in this year's draft. And so Washington obviously tested really well at the combine. I think he has questions on his tape, and I think that analytically he's just decent. It's not really great at all. So we wouldn't be like shouting from the rooftops that Mike Washington is a mid-first rounder if he were to go to the defending Super Bowl champions in the Seahawks at the end of the third round of the NFL draft. However, I will say in terms of the fit, he would basically be the new Kenneth Walker there alongside Charbonnet. That's why they'd be drafting him, which means he would be somewhat productive, but he'd be splitting with Charbonnet. It's when Charbonnet came back. And the thing about, splitting with Charbonnet is Kenneth Walker was doing it, and Kenneth Walker is a much better running back than Mike Washington Jr. is. Was a much better prospect. And he was not even running back 1 productive. And so do we really think Mike Washington Jr. has that much ceiling going to the Seattle Seahawks and splitting that backfield with Charbonnet? I don't think so. And so with that, I think there'd be a lot of hype. I think he's a good market play. I don't ultimately have a lot of long-term hope for him in Seattle in this particular scenario, but I do think he would go pretty high in dynasty drafts.
Depending on who Miami goes and gets at the quarterback position, I would be very intrigued with Chris Bell going there at the 211. Coming off the ACL injury, right? That's the reason why he's falling and pretty much settling in the second. I will say, though, Chris Bell has settled in the second pretty consistently in most mocks that we see, despite tearing his ACL, which essentially implies like this guy would have gotten quite a bit of first-round buzz if he hadn't gotten injured, like a significant injury coming out of college. He's very, very big. What do you measure out as? Like 6'4", 200, over 200?
He was 220, I think.
Oh my gosh.
He was big.
Yeah. So he's very big, solid route runner.
He is 222, 6'2", 222.
Was very productive at Louisville. Tyreek Hill obviously is on the move. He's already been waived, I believe. He's an unrestricted free agent at the moment. We'll see where he ends up signing, but he would essentially be paired there with Jalen Waddle and nobody else. No Tua Tagovailoa there. Who knows if they're going to ride the season with Quinn Ewers and Zach Wilson. Is Zach Wilson still there? I don't even know. I think it's Quinn Ewers. But they could go get somebody in free agency. Maybe they go get a Kyler. Maybe they go get an old guy like a Cousins or something like that. Or maybe they just kind of punt the position again and they ride with their current quarterback room there and just tank until the following year when they can draft a franchise quarterback regardless of what happens here. I think Bell is going to have an avenue to be decently productive. It's no guarantee. Again, there's a reason that we let him fall here to like the mid-second in our mock draft, but he's by far the best analytical prospect to have not gone in our mock yet here. And again, early second is still respectable. It's nothing pretty in terms of like hit rates for wide receiver prospects historically, but it's enough for me to happily take a shot on him here in the mid-second.
Yeah, the Eagles take Jeremy Bernard here in the mid-late second. Look, I think fit-wise, I think he would be fine there. I don't think he would get near the volume to be productive is my thing, especially if Smitty and A.J. Brown are still there. If one of them is traded and Jeremy goes there, I still don't look at Jeremy Bernard as like this high target volume guy that you just force feed targets to. And even when they were force feeding targets to A.J. Brown in that offense, he wasn't getting enough volume to be consistently fantasy productive at like a wide receiver 1 or even like high-end wide receiver 2 level for a very long time. And so With that, I mean, I'll take him here because I think he's probably the best wide receiver left in terms of landing spot and draft capital. But man, I mean, you're talking about this being a mid-second round pick. It's ugly this year. I don't know what it would be like for the Eagles in this situation, but I can tell you that this is ugly for Dynasty.
Yeah, this
drafts.
is when day 3 running backs start going off the board. There are a few day 3 guys that are going to be going in the 4th round here. I will go ahead and I'll work down the bakery here. I think it's kind of a toss-up with any of these guys. Nick Singleton is very athletic, terrible vision, got some really, really nice receiving chops and explosiveness. I think this would, again, wherever he ends up going day 3, if he goes like early 4th round or 5th round or something like that, there's going to be a lot of interest there. And I would very much expect him to be going in this mid to late 2nd range in a class with the lack of depth of 2026.
Yeah, Nate's right. I mean, we're going to take these guys, I think, these running backs over most of the wide receivers left here because most of the wide receivers are in the 3rd round. And the analytics are in the toilet for 3rd round wide receivers. Like
literally
so bad.
Like sub 15%.
Which is why, as much as I want to take Elijah Surratt, I think he could be a 1st round Dynasty pick. I can't here. There's no way I can.
Not to Chicago, no way.
And I think that's also part of it. And so I'm going to take Emmett Johnson here in the mid 2nd round. We are not fans of Emmett Johnson, truthfully. I think while the athletic profile, I think what you risk here by being low on Emmett Johnson, which is why we will have to wait and see, is I think in terms of like vision and being elusive, I think that he is one of the better backs in the class at that. Like, that's not the issue. He makes people miss. He is, again, very hard to bring down. And, you know, people are, including us, are down on him, not necessarily because of the athletic testing, but that definitely didn't help kind of make our decisions for us. And so I don't love him a ton as a prospect, but I do think what you risk is him being like a Bucky Irving type where he tests athletically not good at all, but still has a lot of upside. I think the big difference here between those two guys is Bucky Irving, running back grade of 9.91 in the bakery. He was in that upside tier, and that was for Bucky with 4th round draft capital. With 3rd round draft capital, you're looking at Emmett Johnson, with 4th round draft capital for Emmett Johnson, you're looking at him being a 7.92, so significantly worse of a prospect, in my opinion, than Bucky Irving, because a lot of people are making that comp right now. And so I'll take him here, but again, I'm not super keen on taking him most of the time in drafts this year, just because I'm not super in on Emmett Johnson as a prospect, to be honest.
I could go quarterback here. I'm going to go ahead and take the last 4th round running back off the board, Eli Heidenreich. If he gets 4th round draft capital, he gets really, really interesting. Same analytical tier as guys like Mike Washington, Katron, Singleton, Emmett Johnson right there back to back with Emmett Johnson with 4th round DC. And note that this is Heidenreich getting that analytical grade just at the running back position, not wide receiver. This guy was a hybrid running back wide receiver, listed as a fullback technically at Navy. He literally did everything. He was a Swiss Army knife. He is by far the most intriguing prospect if he gets respectable enough draft capital in the NFL draft. I think he's easily going here in the late 2nd.
You can't, somebody's got to give you like marketing 101. You literally just said Swiss Army knife. Nathan, Swiss Navy knife. Oh. You missed your opportunity, dude. Come on.
Yeah.
You knew, come on. Come on, it's all right. Maybe we
bad.
could just edit over like an AI voice that says Swiss Navy knife. We could do that.
Yes.
But still, we got to keep using it. We got to keep it going. I would be surprised. I said this. I wouldn't be surprised if Heidenreich went in the 5th round or lower in these drafts, just being honest with you. But it doesn't fit our agenda, so we're just going to put him in the 4th here. Mm-hmm. And that's what we do when you get your own Dynasty channel, I guess. That's what we do. Okay. Wow. Shoot, dude. I don't know. I'm going to take Chris Brazzell. The landing spot just intrigues me a ton. And here's the thing. I think this mock draft is drunk for having Chris Brazzell go in the 3rd. There's no way this guy falls out of the 2nd round. There's literally zero chance he falls out of the 2nd round. I think of all the players that should be getting like late first buzz, Cooper and maybe Jeremy Bernard. I think Concepcion is a 1st rounder, but like between Bell, Bernard, and Cooper and Brazzell
has the best physical traits.
I think so too, and also the best analytical profile.
Again, for a guy like Jalen Hyatt, who everyone knew that he was exclusively a deep threat, he still went in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
Brazzell's a better prospect than Hyatt was. Like, that's just a fact. He
absolutely is. So I think this is, again, in this scenario, you can't probably take him very early, but going to the Bills, like the landing spot's awesome. I don't see any reason why the Bills wouldn't take a shot on him in the late 1st. But he's not making it past the second round. I don't know what we're thinking with this mock draft, but we'll play the scenario. But I think he goes much higher than this, and I'm just going to take him because I think I want to kind of make a point with that.
So Nussmeier, Beck, and Aller go. Nussmeier goes like late second here to the Rams. Beck goes early third to the Browns, and Aller goes like mid-ish third to Pittsburgh. I think of all the quarterbacks there, I think Aller I like the most, and Aller also has the best chance at potentially getting a starting opportunity this season if Pittsburgh selects him there in the third round. This is obviously assuming that Rodgers doesn't come back. This is assuming that they don't get somebody in free agency.
He's live on McAfee right now, actually, so we might find out fairly soon.
Dang, man. Yeah, you're right.
So you guys might know after this because they can't watch.
We'll see, but like Will Howard could end up being the starter there as well this season. I think Drew Aller, if he gets drafted in the mid-third to Pittsburgh, he would have a decent shot at getting a starting opportunity at some point in time.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think at that point there, I'm gonna take Nussmeier. Nussmeier goes in the second to the Rams. He's clearly like either a backup to Stafford, or which Stafford getting hurt is not out of the not of the realm of possibilities here for sure. And you know, I'm trying to stay safe here. The hit rates are in the toilet for a lot of these guys. And honestly, I think really I should probably be taking tight end here. Third round tight ends have a lot of value increase upside in dynasty drafts, but I'm just going to take Nuss because it's kind of a crapshoot at this point. Please, for the love of all that is holy, just take Elijah Surratt to fit our agenda, please.
Yeah, I was going to take Max Clare.
No,
I'll take Elijah Surratt / Max Clare at the 212. Surratt goes to Chicago. That is an absolute awful landing spot. That is so bad. It's way too crowded there.
Yeah.
And for Max Clare to Miami, again, third round tight ends. Max Clare has pretty solid analytics in the bakery. I think he's kind of being overshadowed and overlooked because of how well Stowers and Sadiq tested at the combine. He still is a decent prospect in his own right. Much better than Trigg, who also goes third round here. And again, going to Miami where it seems to be pretty open there, I'd be totally cool with that.
Just a real quick hypothetical mock from Nathan and I. At the 101, we'll go Fernando Mendoza. At the 102, we'll go Amar Cooper. And then Surratt at the 103.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Then we'll probably take Kalen Black.
We'll take Kalen Black first because we like him better as a prospect at the 104. And then we'll take Hemby.
Then actually somewhere we'll put D'Angelo Pons in there. I know he plays defense.
Sure. Yeah, I would draft him in the Dynasty League.
So
we'll take D'Angelo Pons. We got to take Riley Nowakowski in here, so he'll be our 107.
Yeah.
Who else from the offensive standpoint? I mean, we could start
Is
taking...
our kicker going pro?
No, he's not good enough. We could start taking, like Aiden Fisher.
Yes.
But let's just do one. Let's do like the 101 through the 107 there, and just so you guys know, IU won the national championship in football.
Yep.
Current reigning national champions, Indiana Hoosiers. Just letting you guys know that.
2026 rookie draft is going to be a celebration for us as we watch all of our boys.
The whole NFL draft is honestly it's going to be every draft.
It's going to be every day,
dude.
every
awesome.
Single day as we're going to see IU guys go off.
So shout out to Kurt Signetti and the Indiana Hoosiers, man. What a great football team. Best football coach in the country. Argue with a wall if you don't believe that. Drop a like on the video. Make sure you're subbed as well. We had to put the propaganda in there. We have to do that like every once in a while. We have to remind you that we're kings of the world and we're riding at the front of the Titanic right now.
Yep.
All right. We love you guys. We appreciate you. We'll be back. We'll be back next week with some vids. Peace out. See you soon.